Today, I'm headed to take a course. There is a woman named Jessica Caldwell who has a company called Wildkind Academy. Now, she grew up in Washington, Oregon, and I believe Idaho, basically living a pretty outdoorsy lifestyle. And that eventually led her to becoming a full-on wilderness survival instructor. She teaches survival skills of all different kinds. But what she does that's unique, I think, is she incorporates meditation, yoga, as well as nutrition into her programs. She can also do hunting with archery and rifles, does fishing, clamming, and wild food foraging. Also, another ingredient, if that's not enough, is she can teach basket weaving along with fish tanning. So she's got quite a resume of skills that she is able to teach. So today's course is on nettles, stinging nettles, and we're going to find out the benefits of all of that and get a few words from Jessica herself. So that'll be pretty awesome. See you in a little bit.
But it's really.
My mom would make us now tea all the time.
And so there we go.
It's been not just really about what's out there changing, but what is changing within me that has really been the significant piece of the experience I've had from 4 years ago when I started Wildkind Academy to where I am now and teaching these wilderness skills, getting people in nature. It's become an evolution that I'm witnessing about bringing community together and the connections that we're having and this enlivenment training. And I feel that that's really the heart of what's been happening, that when I get people together and we get into the woods, we get into nature, there is something happening, a shift that's happening that's not just skills training, but there is an upliftment happening, an enlivenment happening within myself and within the context of community.
So there's these little threads, like the inner bark is where the tinder is just like really, really choice. If I take some of this stuff, here it is, it's been raining for days and days. But if you pass this around and just feel it, this inner bark is dry. And if you start processing this, and I'm gonna get something, pass it, you just feel how dry it is and realize this will light. This will get fire going.
Very dry.
And this would take me a little bit of time. Like I'm just kind of showing you where I would begin, but I'd start to take all this stuff and I'd get it broken down. You wouldn't feel any hard sticks anymore. You'd feel a softness as I keep processing it. And then what you'd have left is a tinder bundle that will light fire just with a ferro rod in your knife. I mean, you get a spark on it and it's going to go. So people who you needed to be on the road and travel and by foot and create fire, they're using the cedar to do that. When you harvest this, and I'm saying the top third of the plant, see these nodes down here? But this is like a new node where new leaves are coming out. Harvest above the nodes. And that way it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So that's just an important piece. So I'd get in there and be like, boom and boom. These are fine.
Really beautiful.
Oh, these are some lovely needles. And because I see, my eyes can be like, okay, I'm scanning. I see that there's nettle all over there. So I'm good to come through here and take, oh, here's a really nice one. This is like lovely and perfect. So I'm just going to take a couple from this patch. Salmonberry, you could grab a couple flowers and put it in your salad because look how gorgeous it is. You can eat that, but once you eat the flower, then a berry will not grow. So it's like one berry for one flower. So I would only harvest the flower if I found like a big patch of it. I would probably stay away from some of the big ones. And I'd like to probably harvest more of these kind of small ones. And again, we're harvesting the first third of the plant. Nettle is the highest protein for a plant that is offered on our planet. It's a high protein plant, and it's 40% protein, and it's also higher in iron than almost anything, like as close to red meat as you could get from a plant. So high in iron. And so there's all these health benefits to eating this plant, from the protein to the iron. So a lot of people drink nettle tea in the spring, while the plant comes in the spring, right when the pollen is starting to drive people crazy and give them this ill effect of allergies. So drink nettle tea to help reduce the allergy reaction in the spring. It's a gift that we're given for that.
Do you think there'd be an opportunity for Vanlifers to enjoy this type of fieldcraft?
Ooh, I like that word, fieldcraft. Absolutely, Vanlifers, get after it. I'm teaching here many different types of courses in Washington State. Everything from the foraging to wilderness skills training, survival training, and even some deep dives into fishing and clamming. I'm also teaching out in Colorado, so if you happen to be taking that path this summer, I'll be there teaching all summer long, doing backcountry backpacking with folks and doing these immersions and taking people on solos and having these big experiences where we really just get to immerse in nature. And so here you are doing your van life, and you're nomadic, you're traveling. And I feel that weaving in the location where you're at, getting outside, getting to learn the natural world around you from where you're at, and getting to join me on some of these adventures to just learn the skill sets of what's around you. What food can you eat? What plants can you use to be able to create tinder, to be able to use for either medicine or for food or for utilitarian purposes. But it's a dynamic piece, I believe, to all of us to experience being more integrated in the natural world. I think just, not just the integration piece of the wild, but I think learning more sovereignty, learning how to be more self-reliant, especially for van life folks who are really making it as, being flexible, being mobile. But sometimes you might be in places that you're going to have to bug out or stay out for a while. And so learning to know about the plants and also learning to know how to take care of yourself for extended periods of time in maybe unique situations that require some ingenuity.
Awesome. So what would you offer newcomers who are just getting interested, or they're beginners and they have no experience? What would you suggest would be a way to go forward?
Well, I hope you come visit the website, wildkindacademy.com, because I'd love for you to come out and join me for a class either here in Washington or out in Colorado. But if you're just new to get started, start small. I always tell people in my class, learn 3 different plants in whatever environment you're in and just work with them for a little while. A lot of people are like, oh, I've got weeds in the backyard that, need to go. But learn your weeds. Your weeds are your allies. If you're new to wilderness skills or survival skills, self-sufficiency skills, just take on a class. I think the class is a live class. A lot of people are doing a lot of online training or reading a book, but there's nothing like the hands-on immersive experience about being in a group, being in community, having a good time, and then going deeper into it, actually learning these things in wild places. So I'd say take a class.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Don't want to take up any more of your time. It was an awesome day working with nettles, and looking forward to your next class.
Thank you so much, Talon. It's always a joy to have you come to classes, and thanks for doing what you're doing, getting all this great info and enthusiasm and inspiration for people who are doing what you're doing. I really appreciate you.
Well, that was a fantastic day. Learned a lot about the nettles and a bunch of other plants we were able to eat and nibble on throughout the day. It was really quite a lot of great information. I wish I'd recorded a few more things because there's so much to learn about it. The takeaway for me was there's 3 plants that stood out in my mind. The nettles was one, the importance of dandelions, and there's another one. It's a little dusty rose-colored plant that you can eat also. But those 3 plants, they're all over the place. You can eat them all the time. And the other takeaway, which was really important, was not only did I have a lot of fun with everybody else, and we all got to talk, and we had some kind of like a meditative private time in the day where we just went out into the woods to a place that you just let your intuition take you, and sit and just sort of take it in. Just immerse yourself into nature at that point. And so for me, what I found is we were right near a river, and it was really important for me in the moment. Followed my intuition, took me away from the river, which was a surprise because I normally like that energy, that moving, the sound, everything. This time I went opposite of the river, went into the deep woods, and it was totally quiet. And I don't want to say the word sunk, but just drifted into this deep, silent, calm peace. And this peace, this calmness, was important because it allowed me to reflect as to why I needed it, or why I felt a decompression, and it was really fast and boom, a huge shift, a quantum shift, if you want to call it that. All the energy just in some way, the best word I can say is there was some unbalanced tension within me, or stress. I've been taking on a bunch of responsibilities, and I think it was inching its way forward, and I wasn't on top of it. And I could feel that was just being released. And I was like, oh boy, I really needed that. And it was so good. But it also helped me see how I can better regulate those stresses and those tensions. And that was really important, to take those few minutes of the day that everybody was in their own place. And so for me, that was a huge one. That was really good. I needed it, and I didn't know I needed it, and that was important. Normally, I'm pretty astute at doing my morning focus and evening reflections and visualizations and different things in my life that have always been fairly constant tools. But this was a subtle one that had been building in, that I hadn't really identified it. I knew I was getting a little bit edgy here and there, but I hadn't taken the time to just sit and sort it out. And it only took a few minutes, and it was fantastic. We're so glad. So another takeaway I had that was really important was I understood for the first time the importance of the 3 seasons: spring, summer, and fall, and how the majority of plants, they have their spring leaves, and they're full of life and full of energy. And that's where a lot of nutrition is in those leaves, those first leaves of the plant when they come up. At a certain point in the life cycle of the plant, the flower will begin, and the flower is now being able to be pollinated by the insects. And so it gets pollinated, and off and away it goes, and then that flower will eventually seed and blow around. And then the third part of the season is the root. So in the spring comes the leaves, then later on the flower, and then in the fall, when it all falls down, then there's the root can be harvested. Those 3 sections and those 3 parts of the season, that was important to understand that. I really like that. That was good. Good to know. I hope there is some interesting information in there for you. I will put the link to Jess's website down below in the description. And yeah, there we have it. That's all I got. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. With bow or with there's 3 plants that stood out in my mind. The nettle.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let's.
That was a good one.